Tips for buying your first or next board, part 2. With so many boards on the market, it can take some research to separate the bandwagon brands from the ones that are serious about putting quality boards on the market. This is part 2 of our 3-part series, Choosing Your First or Next Board Consumer Guide Crash Course. Sauce the intro. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Marquita, your gracious host, CEO and creator of the Sauce Myself clothing brand. This is part 2 of our 3-part series, Choosing Your First or Next Board Consumer Guide Crash Course. If you're just joining us, I encourage you to go back and watch the first video. Our purpose with this series is to aid consumers in making the best informed buying decision possible by bringing you tips and discussing the things you should consider when purchasing your first or next electric skateboard. So, without further ado, let's get started. Wheel types. In our first video of this 3-part series, we briefly discussed how different board types accommodate certain wheel types. So we're going to take the time to discuss those wheel types in this video so you have an idea of what you will encounter when you're choosing your electric skateboard. Classic street wheel. Your classic street wheel for electric skateboards are made with polyurethane and range from 70 millimeters to 100 millimeters in diameter to make for a smoother ride. Hub motor sleeve. These can be plastic or polyurethane and will only be seen on hub motor boards. Because these sleeves go directly on the motors themselves, they are much more thin than a classic skateboard wheel. These don't have at all times the smoothest ride, but there have been major improvements these days. An example are Cloud Wheels donut sleeves or Marlin Wheels sleeves, just to give a couple of examples. All-terrain wheels. Now, this category can be controversial as all all-terrain wheels are not made equal. And it could also be argued that some are technically not all-terrain due to a rough ride when you're going off-road and noticeable resistance on paved ground. But on average, this wheel type consists of a larger diameter, which starts at 70 millimeters and goes all the way up to 120 millimeters. And these are also made of polyurethane. Pneumatic tires. Pneumatic tires are rubber with an inner tube inside, very similar to a bicycle wheel. These tires are popular amongst all-terrain boards as they absorb a lot of the shock you encounter, giving for a smoother ride. The size of these wheels range from 115 millimeters to 200 millimeters, or about 6 to 8 or 9 inches. Honeycomb tires. These tires are usually similar in size to pneumatics. Honeycomb tires are made entirely of rubber and have air holes. These wheels don't utilize an inner tube and typically will be a bit heavier than your pneumatic tires. Drivetrains. There are about 4 different drivetrains available on the electric skateboard market today. It's important to understand how each of these work so that you will be able to select the one that best fits your lifestyle. Direct drive. Direct drive sounds good in theory, but not a lot of companies have been able to successfully utilize this type of drivetrain. With direct drive, the motors are attached directly to the wheel by being positioned directly onto the truck. Although this setup still allows for multiple wheel options and can be quieter than some belt drives, they still tend to have much lower ground clearance and also lack of solid proven reliability. Overall, these are a great in-between option if you don't want to go with the next 2 drivetrains that we will discuss. Direct drivetrains are somewhat newer of the bunch, so there is still great room for improvement and innovation. hub motors. I would dub hub motors the grandfather, maybe, of direct drive trains. You decide. It's kind of a similar concept, but executed in a more practical way, utilizing the actual motors as wheels by implementing a sleeve to cover them. Over time, the comfort of hub motors has greatly improved. Companies began listening to consumers and were able to make much better sleeve designs to give more ride comfort. Hub motors can be a great option if you want to be able to get up and go without having to harp too much about damage to your wheels. That will make more sense when we talk about our next drivetrain. Belt drives. Belt drive motors can most definitely be considered a creme de la creme of drivetrains. With this setup, riders can use 4 actual wheels in tandem with the motors. You'll have a great selection of wheel options and increased maximum level of comfort as well. I may be a little biased, but you can't go wrong with a belt drive. This setup requires a bit more maintenance than some other drivetrains, due to the belts being susceptible to wear and tear, and you also must replace these periodically. You may get a surprise pebble or rock stuck inside your belt, but if you are attentive to your board, you'll be able to catch when those pebbles get stuck and remove any obstructions before it actually damages the belt. Outside of the little bit of extra maintenance and monitoring of belt life, there isn't many more cons for a belt drivetrain. Gear drives. Gear drives are the latest improvement and innovation on drivetrains for commercial electric skateboards. I have no doubts that they will become the new standard. This drivetrain omits the belt completely, but has a similar setup to belt drivetrains, with the gears interlocking and rotating. Think of gears in like a clock or watch that make the hands turn. This brings more efficiency for braking and acceleration. You'll basically get the benefits of a belt drivetrain without the maintenance, but it is rumored to give you more bit of noise due to the mechanics involved with the gear drive. I personally have not heard too many complaints on this, but it's not something that would make me turn away at all. Understanding performance. Performance will be one of the top deciding factors, if not the deciding factor, when it comes down to choosing your electric skateboard. When we talk about performance, we are referring to the overall ride experience that is created by combining the responsiveness of the brakes, the responsiveness of the ESC, the punch of the torque, the smoothness of acceleration, and the mindfulness of the technology. ESC. First, we will start with the Electric Skateboard Controller, or ESC. There are 3 top heavy hitters in this league: Hobby Wing, Ling Yi, and Vesk, each having their own unique set of things that make them known for who or what they are. Ling Yi is an ESC utilized by a popular and well-known brand, Meepo, although there are some other brands that utilize this ESC as well. Keeping that in mind, this ESC does have the least best reputation of the 3 that we will discuss today, with consumers commonly noting its room for improvement when it comes to the responsiveness of braking and acceleration. But I will mention that with the most recent board releases, such as Meepo's Voyager and Hurricane, consumers have noticed that there has been some improvement from the earlier releases of this ESC. Hobby Wing ESC. Hobby Wing is the most utilized among some of the top commercial brands who have been around for a while. Widely recognized and popular for its stability and responsiveness. Manufacturers are the only ones currently who have the privilege to customize this type of ESC. Hobby Wing has a great reputation and is an all-around great standard that you will find in many commercial boards today. Vesk. Vesk is a creator's dream. This ESC was developed by Benjamin Vetter and is an open source controller very popular among the DIY community due to the ability to be able to customize many aspects of the rider experience that would normally be determined by a manufacturer. With Vesk, you can truly craft the riding experience of your dreams. Brakes. They have to be really responsive and have the right amount of strength. Imagine you're cruising along and suddenly another human being seemingly comes into your path a few feet ahead. You want to be able to hit the brakes and make a smooth, abrupt stop, not a rolling stop. That's what makes the difference in the brake strength and keeps you safe to ride another day. Acceleration. Smooth acceleration is a satisfying experience. Remember having a CD player and having to stop what you're doing to change to a new CD? Kind of annoying, right? Well, that's also annoying when you're trying to accelerate. Feeling your board lag or jerk, it takes you out of the ride. So smooth acceleration is always a plus. And it's necessary. Torque. This one is for my speed demons. Torque is the rotational equivalent of linear force. So it's not about how fast the wheels are spinning, but at the force in which a wheel spins. A great example is bowling. Say you are in a bowling tournament. Each player on the team puts a different amount of force behind the ball when they roll it. That is torque. Torque combined with smooth acceleration makes for a masterful combo. Handling. How does the board feel underneath your feet? Whether you are carving, cruising, or speeding, you want to feel like you have control. Rolling over bumps, cracks, or making sudden stops shouldn't knock you off the board or cause you to have to constantly shift your feet. That's annoying. With your board, your feet become your new hands. The board should allow for great handling by having a great design and contour. Something we'll discuss further in our next video. That concludes video number 2 of our 3-part series, Choosing Your First or Next Board Consumer Guide Crash Course. We would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you have purchased a board before, go ahead, offer some friendly advice in the comment section. If you will be looking to purchase a board, please feel free to post some questions in the comment section as well. So go ahead, leave a comment down in the comment section, like this video, subscribe, share this video with someone that you would like to introduce to e-skate. And as always, have fun, be safe, stay sauced, and until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.